Welcome to another episode of Megan to Mars. I'm Megan Kane. I'm your host for this podcast, and today we're going to be talking about mammals in space. Now, before the first humans went into space, we sent up a number of animals. As early as, I believe it was 1949 when we first started sending up monkeys in the US. Also then a mouse in the 1950s, and the Russians started sending up dogs in 1951. Laika, the first dog in space. I have a picture with a stuffed version of her that I took in Moscow, which is quite cool. So we've been sending up mammals, and the reason we sent up these animals is to see if, humans can survive in space. Turns out we can, and we do just fine. But when we were first starting our exploration of space, we didn't know that. So instead of sending up humans right off the bat, we tested it with animals that were close enough to us to tell. Let's look at who were the first people in space. So we know that in the 1940s and 50s, we started with sending up mammals. But guess what? Humans didn't go up, as I'm sure you know, until 1961. On April 12th, 1961, the Soviet Union won the first step in the space race when Yuri Gagarin became the first man in space. Launched on Vostok 1, I think I pronounced that right, Vostok 1, on April 12th, 1961, Yuri Gagarin went up and he orbited the Earth one time and came back down. The U.S. about a month later, in May, I believe it was, May 1961, so May 5th, 1961, Alan Shepard became the first American in space, but he went up on a suborbital flight on the Mercury Redstone. He didn't achieve orbit, which means that Russia was still ahead in the space race. It wasn't until, let me double check my notes, February the next year, so February 1962, that John Glenn became the first American to orbit Earth. So, Russians orbited Earth in April of 1961. Then Americans got up into space for the first time in May 1961. But it wasn't until February 20th, 1962, that John Glenn actually orbited the planet in Friendship 7. So, that's almost a year, well, not quite a year, it's like 8 months, between when Russia managed to make orbit and the US did. And that set the stage for the space race. Getting to orbit was step one. Getting to the moon was the ultimate goal, eventually, in the space race. And, as you may know, the US won that part. So, that is the summation of mammals in space in the beginning. Starting from monkeys, then mice, all the way up through humans going into orbit. And since humans have gone up into orbit, a variety of other animals have to test various things as part of experiments and all that sort of thing. So, this has been an episode of Megan to Mars with a few quick facts about mammals in space. Thank you for joining me.